Hi, my name's Ross. I'm currently working on the vehicle team here at Rivet Games. This is on the Schaffenhausen to Cruislingen route. So this is the THB RABe E526 locomotive. I was first given this model. I was given the main body as like a base, just to get scale and get everything started okay. And then Matt on the main train team, he created the nose. So I was given this along with an accurate scale that I was to work on the rest of the train and work on the other two carriages that are along with it. Using this as reference, I created the rest of the carriage, including the doors and all the roof equipment as well. Just extending on from the model that I was given before, going with the scale and following the lines I was given before as well. Using different techniques as well. We would cut in windows. There's most of this is modelled one side, and then using symmetry flipped over because it's mainly identical. But in the unwrapping stage, sections at the front here would maybe be unique, not be flipped. Otherwise, you'd get a butterfly effect, we call it. So if I had to texture something here, you'd see it on this side as well. Since this is the ABT version, this is the front carriage with the first class, so it's almost the same as the rear carriage, except it has this first class stripe here. This and it also has this side window here that is blocking off a bathroom. This is the middle carriage. It's just called the B carriage, and it's almost the same as the other one with the first class and the rear, except it has a shorter door. Well, not a shorter door, but the bottom half is a step that folds out, and the disabled button is lower down for easy access. The roof equipment on this is almost identical as well. The attachments for the gangway coupling in the middle are attached to this section. So after receiving the nose model from Matt, I would basically just start with this cube, which is exact to scale, and as a very basic demonstration, I can show how I would go about modelling this. So I would apply a symmetry modifier just because everything's going to be on both sides anyway. I could begin with trying to match up the shape at all. So I can just add a loop in here and maybe take this back to here, just so I've got a kind of similar shape. Obviously I can go into a lot more detail, but this is just showing how it would be done. And then you would begin by, with the roof there's an inset, so we could cut something in here. Just select these roof panels here, and yeah, just take them down, and then all your roof equipment would fit in here. That's made on a separate max file, and that would be imported in and just placed on top. There'd be a tank here, there's a section here with fans, and then there's actually quite a large bare area on this, but that's the way it is, even though it kind of looks bare. There would be windows modelled in here. You would obviously create a defined shape, and then you could inset and just create them in. So obviously you would have the windows in this train have rounded corners and a lot more detail in it, but that's generally how you would go about quickly getting a shape down, and then you can judge that with your reference, and you can see how things match up and make sure that everything's in line. And then around about this area you would have a door, which is a double door on this train. That would just be like something that would be cut in here, and then you would model the door separately and have them inset with like a rubber seal in the middle, and the doors would obviously come out and animate that way. So within a train from scratch, there's a lot of small moving parts, such as the fans. They have to rotate, and they'll just be in one animation, just 0 to 30 frames, and then the programmer, Kevin, he'll just loop that animation, so that will just keep spinning and spinning. Also along with the player can obviously control the mirrors as well. They'll rotate out, and these side windows can be wound down as well. And when it starts to rain, these wipers will animate as well, so they'll go obviously from one side to the other, and they'll just be on a continuous loop until the game tells it to stop raining. There's also a nice texture that appears on your windscreen when the wipers are in motion. So with animating these, most of these things are linked. So like this is linked to this section here, and this is linked to this section. So if one section moves, so I have to move this bottom base here, everything will move along with it. So you don't have to like rotate one part and rotate this part, then rotate this part, then rotate this part. And so with the doors, one of the larger parts that's been animated, it's actually quite a simple animation. They're just kind of coming out and then they'll open up. So that is quite slow, but it's the way looking at reference, that's the speed they open it. So they'll just open like this, and they'll be programmed just to stay open until all the passengers are boarded. Then they'll close, then the train will leave. And the wipe animation as well will just go from one side to the other, and that'll just be looped and it'll just keep going. And for the middle carriage, for this one, it has a little side step, so that'll fold down with moving pistons. And when the interior is placed inside this train as well, there's a lot of inner workings that are up here, and there's a whole mechanical system that's in here that looks quite nice for the player to see. So for this project, it actually began with modelling the coupling for the front of the train. It's quite a complex piece that is a lot more modern than ones you normally see. So for this kind of piece, I just started with modelling like a large cylinder here for this base, and then another cylinder coming out here, a box here, a box at the end, another box at the bottom, and then a lot of splines being used to create the cables. And then again, I would go in with more detail and add extra edge loops and extrusions. Then with this front piece here, there's a lot of manual cutting and using booleans to get all these desired effects, especially with these cylindrical details. So when the modelling's complete, you would then move on to the stage of UV unwrapping, which is packing everything in one texture sheet per asset. So this is everything in here that is going on the main body texture sheet. So this is like this section here is the nose, and this section here is the side panels. So when you're unwrapping, you want all these pieces in here to be close but not far too close, and have everything, no texture stretching or anything like that. Otherwise, when you start texturing a painting program like Substance Painter, you're going to notice a lot of like skewing, and even if you try and draw a straight line, it's going to be all warped. So once the unwrapping stage is complete, you export your model and take that into a painting program. So here's the model in Substance Painter. So this was baked in Substance Painter as well, so we can get a nice ambient occlusion bake for details and like crevices, and get really nice shadows. Also, Substance Painter uses these maps to apply certain masks, like adding dirt, so you'd have to manually paint every single piece of dirt, and adding rust as well. When the model's first in Substance Painter, you're going to have no materials, so you're going to have to build up just simple base colours. So we'd build up the white, which is what the train is mainly made up of, and then we'd add the black parts, which are in here. So that's just like the accent parts and all around the windows. Then, as you can see at the front, there's a lot of grey parts, and there's a nice grey line that follows the seam of the model instead of having that just drawn straight on the texture sheet. Otherwise, you'd get a lot of like pixel blur in here. With this train, there's not a lot of exposed metal pieces, so it's mainly just on this mirror handle. So once you have all the base colours applied, it looks okay, but it doesn't look as realistic as you can make it. So you want to start applying small things that would make it look more real. So small parts, like with this kind of train, you'd want, there's going to be some dirt. No matter how much you clean it, there's going to be some dirt showing up at the bottom of the train and showing up around the edges. So you're going to have like a few different variations, because there's not just always going to be like just brown dirt and all the same. And there's going to be some bits of dust and wear and tear on the crevices and edges. Even though the trains are cleaned regularly, there's even at the front, it's really, there's not much going on there. And if you had to look at that, you just think, well, it clearly looks like a 3D model. So you want to add some just small bits of dirt that are going to gather up over time. Here's an example of the front of a train, which is a picture taken by us. So as you can see, it is obviously cleaned regularly, but there is a lot of dirt, as in like maybe bugs or dirt, and there's a lot of just small bits of wear and tear here. So the buffers at the front, they're always exposed, so they're going to have a lot of dirt on them, and the plough at the front is going to have a lot of wear and tear on it as well. So with that, there is obviously, it is pretty clean here, but we are going to add these small dots that are going to appear just to give it a little something. I mean, it even could be too much and you could take that back a little bit, but it's always better to add more than take it back if you need to after you get some feedback. So with each carriage on this train, there is a different door colour, and each door colour corresponds with the colours of the Thurbo logo. So we have the green, yellow, the purple, the red, grey and the blue, and we're just waiting to hear back from the train company to find out what configuration they want these doors to be in, because out of all the reference images, each carriage always has a different door colour. It's not consistent with what carriage has which colour. So once you have the texturing completed, we'll move on to creating decals for the train. So we can see at the side there's this large iconic Thurbo logo on the side as well. There is 2 logos on doors, there's a button, and and each door has, well, the middle carriage has 4. So also on the door there is, on this carriage there's 8, but on other carriages there's 9 and even 10. These little icons just telling you information about the train. And there's also the main railway logo as well. So we'll move to Photoshop to create the decal sheet, which will have all the important information we need and all the important logos we need especially. And this will be an alpha, so everywhere that's black you see is going to be invisible, and everything else is going to be textured white on an alpha channel, so they only show through. So for the door icons, we got official ones sent by the company, and so this was a collection of ones they sent, but there was also a few missing, like there's a Wi-Fi logo, there's camera, and there's a first class one as well. So they were just created using exactly the same techniques, just copying the same border and just remaking them in the same style. So along with the decal sheet, there's also the destination boards that are being used as kind of like decals as well. So they'll just be swapped out and changed different destinations that you go to. So it's off state is this kind of green and dark, and when it's on, it'll be orange. These ones on the inside, it's like a notice board that's on the inside the window, so that's not going to be its final position, but it's close enough just now. Until we get the interior in, then things will be exact, and there's also one on the inside for the passengers to see. So I was originally on the environment team here, and was moved to the vehicle art team, and I'm enjoying it a lot more with the more technical modelling, and it's a lot more precise, and you're working in a team as well. So like on this train, Matt created the cab and the signs, and I'm creating the rest of the train, and Matt's working on the interior and the cab, and we're working together, exchanging files, and you get a lot of feedback, and it's a nice thing to work on.